Okay, this is my presentation. I'll tell you when it starts, and it should be 10 minutes or less. Let's get the stopwatch going. Right, ready, start. Good afternoon. Today in my presentation I am going to be dealing with 4 areas. Firstly, how we establish contact with students to tell them about what support services we can offer them. The structure of the first session with a new student. How we maintain engagement and motivation throughout the course, and how we monitor progress and assess throughout. Obviously I have a lot more ideas, too much to fit into a 10-minute presentation, so if you have any questions I'll be delighted to answer them at the end. So to initiate contact with students, one idea is that we can put a video giving details of how we can support international students with English onto the university website. For example, hello, my name's Tim Keeley, and I want to tell you how we at Leeds Arts University can help you with your English, for your studies, for your future work, and for living life in Leeds. We can also outline our services at the induction at the beginning of the course with a short informal session, light-hearted and taking care not to overload new students with too much information. On the website and during the induction we can give videos of demonstration lessons, sample lessons, which we can easily role-play with volunteers or students, maybe 10 minutes a lesson, to give students a flavour of the sort of lessons that we offer. We can publish samples of our materials and multimedia so that students can see what sort of English materials they'll be working with. Also, we can establish contact with students through social activities, like initiating a book club, establishing a free conversation group, or even working through the student union to try and get in contact with students who need our help. A lot of my new students are going to come through referrals from the tutors, and the tutors will obviously be able to identify specific language needs like grammar, lexis, structure, coherence, confidence, and integration with the university or the community at large. But also we will receive referrals from support staff like the library department and the administrative staff. I need to build up a relationship of trust to encourage referrals through a positive rapport with all customer-facing administrative and library staff, and develop a support system of flagging up students who may need support and signposting them towards me. The introductory session with me and a new student. Prior to the session, we will have tested them to determine their general competence at English. They will have sat a diagnostic test, speaking and writing, to determine specifically what needs they have on the course. And they will have undertaken a needs analysis. During the class, I can discuss this needs analysis in terms of what English language is necessary for the subject and for university life. What areas of English that the learner feels that they lack. This is the difference between where the learner is and where they're required to be and where they want to be. And finally, a more subjective look at English, what the learner intrinsically desires, what they want to learn, what inspires them. We can also have a discussion about learning styles and what sort of student-teacher relationship they have with their cultural expectations. I don't really follow Gardner's theory of multiple intelligences, but I do think different students have different aptitudes, and in a one-to-one course, we can try to identify styles of learning which will suit the learner. We'll build up a dialogue, a relationship between teacher and learner, and we will start to establish good habits, like how to use a dictionary, how to record vocabulary in a notebook and then recall it and use it, how to notice vocabulary and grammar, of course, using the virtual learning environment to its best effect for autonomous learning, introducing reflective learning, how to keep a student diary and how to reflect, evaluate and analyse one's own learning, and then make an action plan. Maintaining engagement. One process that I'm very interested in is directed motivational currents. This is useful in the short and medium term. It can't really be sustained over the duration of a university course. It's focused and it's oriented with the vision. The student has to visualize themselves using English in their own ideal futures. There needs to be a launch, a trigger, which isn't always a positive trigger. The teacher needs to provide a structure in terms of progress checks, monitoring routines. It has to be a positive experience, and the teacher provides frameworks, again, to facilitate the path, the current towards the learner's vision, including critical thinking activities. I believe that autonomous learning is inherently motivational. I believe that a syllabus should be flexible and based on continuous feedback and should tap in to the learner's emotions. It should be emotional as well as cognitive. This brings me to the music syllabus, which is a great way of maintaining engagement. Music is an acronym for empowerment, usefulness, success, interest and caring. Using this syllabus, students become more engaged in the learning process and therefore learn more. Empowerment gives the students the perception that they have some input into their learning. The teachers must show why the syllabus and the content of the syllabus is useful and pertinent to students' real-life goals. The learners must be allowed to be successful, given achievable but challenging tasks with positive feedback. There has to be interest. The syllabus needs to be personalised towards the student's individual personality and their own learning goals. And finally, there needs to be a dialogue. The teachers and students need to have a real relationship involving authenticity, empathy. Monitoring progress. Grades are important, especially at university. We need a standard to achieve. We need regular progress tests to check if the student is achieving their sub-aims. And we need to record their results on a database so that we can plot their progress. We need clear marking schemes which give a standard of pass, outstanding and excellent achievement. When we assess the learner, of course, this can also inform on the overall effectiveness of the course. If the learner isn't engaging or achieving in the course, it may not be down to them, it may be down to the content and the design of the syllabus. One thing I found is interesting. Studies have shown when you give learners written feedback and a grade, you might as well just give them a grade. They focus on A, B, C, D, 60%, 70%, 80%, rather than what you have written. So there should be a paradigm of formative feedback, which is qualitative, focused, and to give the student, the learner, the onus to improve. It should be based on cognition and not emotion. Autonomous learning. Again, I believe this is inherently motivational, and involving the student in their own assessment is a great way to do this. I'm an advocate of the reflective cycle. So a student keeping a diary of what has happened in their work, what are their feelings towards it, how do they evaluate their work, good or bad, to analyse it, to come to a conclusion and to form an action plan. With this in mind, I also believe that students can self-assess, autonomously taking responsibility for their own learning. And as I said, this is, in my opinion, inherently motivational. So, if you have any questions, I'll be delighted to answer them now.